Now let's get into our forecast for the week. So I want to give you a heads up that this is a very complicated spread, and this is a very complicated week in the United States. And I want to make space for the anger and the grief and the anxiety and the dread and all of the stuff that's happening, and invite you all before we get into this to just take a breath. And not because this is a catastrophic reading or anything, but just because there's so much happening and it's easy to get lost in the mindless scrolling and lose ourselves and depart our bodies and experience all of these intense emotions when we're trying to make space for so much big, 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 big stuff all at once, and also like take care of our corporeal bodies that we reside in. So, if you have a second, sit with me here and just take a breath before we tune into the astrology and the tarot. Okay. I might just start doing that in these videos each week. The truth is, I'm like a much slower paced person than TikTok caters to. I'm a Taurus, and I don't like to be rushed, and I don't like the impact that it has on my nervous system when I get on here and I try to like zip through stuff. And so I'm just going to do it my way. And if you like it, then you can stick around. And I think going forward, I'm going to slow down a little bit and introduce breaths and pauses and stuff to help you hopefully get present and tend to yourself and notice what's coming up. Let's get into it now. So, this week, just to give you a really brief overview, on Sunday, the 19th, we experienced two trines. Mercury is forming a trine, or I'm sorry, two sextiles. We experience a Mercury Saturn sextile and a Mercury Venus sextile. And that can offer us an opening to, if not productive, at least fluid communication. So there's an exchange of ideas. There's an opportunity for us to tune in to things that feel more accessible. And that could be ideas, communication with friends and people, could be the content that we're consuming. And that's offering us this pause and this moment to kind of sink in and even maybe set an intention before we build up to a pretty challenging few days of astrology. Welcome to Aquarius season. The sun just entered Aquarius today on the 19th. And very quickly, it's moving into a conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius. And so it's already within orb, and you might already be feeling a bit of the intensity of that. A Sun Pluto conjunction can draw us into some deep material. And of course, politically, very charged moment that we're existing in right here. And that could very well have an impact, of course, on our energy and our spirit and our mood. So know that that's likely to get increasingly intense until Tuesday, and then it'll fade, but you'll still feel the impact. It could bring on even exhaustion if you're someone who responds to stress with fatigue. That's possible. We also have a Mercury Chiron square in the wee hours that day that could complicate our communication. So, just in general, I'm going to say that being thoughtful with your words, how you express yourself, and how you speak to other people is top priority this week. And I say that in part because of the astrology and in part because of in most part because of the cards that I pulled. Also, being thoughtful about what you're putting into your noodle and how you are tending to yourself through content consumption. It might be a good week to back up from that. It might be a good week to turn off the TV, to turn off your phone, to try to do things that soothe you. And so that gives you the opportunity to kind of stay present with stuff that you need to stay present with. On Thursday, we have some mixed astrology. We have a couple more harmonious transits, specifically Mars that's forming a sextile to Uranus and Mercury forming a trine to Uranus. However, Mercury is also opposite Mars on that day, on Thursday in the afternoon. And so there's feistiness here. There's the possibility that we might get into conflict with people, that people might be popping off, that we're could get news that could feel challenging. And also, there's this invitation for us to quite literally shake it off. Uranus trine Mercury is this opportunity for us to potentially shift our perspective on something. And Mars sextile Uranus is this opportunity for us to engage our body intentionally, to do something to kind of rid ourselves of any frenetic or intense energy that might be causing us to like make impulsive choices or say something that we'll regret, or just engage in a conflict we don't have to engage in. If you do, oh well, like, okay. But just try to at least be there for yourself through whatever comes up and tend to your nervous system. That might mean trying to get more sleep, or again, trying to back away from stuff that you know is going to activate you and not by necessity. The final transit I want to mention before we get into the cards, on Saturday we have Venus in Pisces forming a trine to Mars retrograde in Cancer. And this could be a moment of relief after some of that tension. And I'd encourage you to really use it by engaging in flow practices, by creating, by doing something visceral. It could be a date for like, I said a date, I meant a day, but it could be a day for a date. It could be a day for like flirtation or connection with other people that feels more fluid and pleasurable and that helps to soothe you. Even if that's a solo thing, like going out there and dancing or spending time by the water, connecting with water could be really meaningful. Okay, now for the cards. So, longer forecast than usual, but again, we're going for it, I guess. Our anchor card this week is the King of Swords. So, right off the bat, sharpness. There is a sharpness to the air. There's a need for us to be wise with how we speak, with what we receive from other people, and potentially to be boundaried, more boundaried than usual about what we're willing to take in, what we're willing to talk about. Okay, so I spoke to this already, so I won't harp on it. But the King of Swords can be quite like, I'm not going to do that. Nope. Like, there's an aloofness, a detachment that we might be leaning into, or that people around us might be leaning into. At times, it can feel a bit like a disciplinarian, too. So, again, just pay attention to how or who that comes up within this week. Our challenge, the Princess of Swords reversed, is a call to check ourselves on the impulsivity and communication, and that's probably going to be hard this week. That's not necessarily an easy task. It's this invitation for us to maybe funnel that frenetic energy into something else. Maybe it's a creative practice, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's like talking into the voice notes app or getting something out in the air. And if we do say something we regret, okay, then like take reparative action where you need to. Our gift, interestingly, are you seeing a pattern here? Is the Prince of Swords upright. So we literally have all three court cards in the suit of swords. And this Prince of Swords as a gift is someone who actually comes to some degree of clarity and maybe snaps back in a moment when you need to actually advocate for yourself or engage in like productive conflict. On the other hand, it could be that this is someone who's showing up to advocate for you or step in or say the thing that needs to be said. So if you get there, you get there. And that might be actually the answer this week. And a blessing of sorts is you standing up for yourself, standing by what you think, and maybe even, again, like cutting off a conversation or saying no more or doing something that helps you feel more free of some type of influence that's really not in your favor this week. Okay, again, please go follow me on other platforms if you want to stay with me. There are a lot of places to find me, and you can follow the link in my bio.